Alright, in this video, I will be going through the review that you guys are working on. This is covering our first two targets of the unit, which were exponent properties, adding and subtracting polynomials, and multiplying polynomials. Okay, so the first problem, we are multiplying our constants. Remember, constants or the numbers get multiplied together, so I have 3 times 2. And then add the powers to my variable. So I end up with 6v to the 4th as my final answer. For number 2, I do the same thing. Multiply 2 times 2, add the exponents. So I end up with 4n to the 1st. If you want to write the first power on the n, you can. Otherwise, 4n is fine as well. Number 3, I first need to distribute that power of 2 to everything inside the parentheses. Remember, it's power to a power, so I multiply. So I get negative 2 to the 2nd, a to the 4 times 2, b to the 2 times 2, and that last part just stays the same because I'm not doing anything with that yet. So now I've simplified that first part, so I get 4 from the negative 2 squared, a to the 8th, b to the 4th, and I still have this part just hanging on at the end. But now since the first part with parentheses is simplified, I can combine. So I multiply my constants and then add the exponents. So I end up with negative 8a to the 13th, b to the 8th, and that's my final answer. For number 4, I want to do the same thing. So I distribute that power to everything inside. And remember, we're multiplying the powers here. So next up, I'm going to simplify. 2 to the 5th is 32. I get u to the 25, v to the 10th, negative u to the 25, and v to the 10th. Okay, and this negative sign here is like a negative 1. Okay, so remember, I'm going to multiply my constants, so I get negative 32, and then add powers. So I get negative 32u to the 25 plus 25, v to the 10th plus 10. So simplified final answer, negative 32, u to the 50, v to the 20th. Number 5, I need to distribute the powers to those exponents, or the exponents to the parentheses first. So remember, power to a power we multiply. And the denominator stays the same. I can simplify the top there, so 2 cubed is 8. I get x to the 15th, y to the 12th, x to the 6th, y to the 0. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, but I still see my x variable twice in the top. So I'm going to add those powers of 15 and 6 to give me x to the 21st on the top. Now I can simplify my numbers. That's 8 divided by 2, which gives me 4. And then with division of powers, I subtract. So I get x to the 21st minus 3, y to the 12th minus 2. And final answer, 4x to the 18th, y to the 10th. Number 6, I need to distribute the 2 to everything inside the parentheses. Okay, so I distribute it to the 2x to the 4th and to that 4 that's around that extra set of parentheses. Okay, so once I do that, 2 squared is 4. I get x to the 8th. And I still have, now instead of that second set of parentheses to the 4th, it's to the 8th. So now I can go ahead and distribute that power to everything inside there. So 2 to the 8th power gives me 256. X to the 3 times 8 is 24, and 2 times 8 is 16, so I get y to the 16th. Now I can simplify my numerator, and again on the bottom I have y to the 0, which is 1, so I don't have to write that. So I multiply 4 times 256 to give me 1024. Add my powers. Then to simplify, I need to subtract them because I'm trying to simplify those there. There's nothing on the bottom that has a y, so I don't need to do anything there. So final answer, 1024 x to the 31st, y to the 16th. Here I just need to simplify the expressions. Remember when I'm subtracting polynomials, that's like a -1 that needs to be distributed to the second set of parentheses. So I rewrite the first part of my problem, and then the second part, all of my signs flip. So now I'm subtracting a 3n to the 4th, adding 7n to the 5th, adding 13n squared, and I'm looking for like terms. I have two terms with n to the 5th, so I add or combine their coefficients. So 2 plus 7 is 9. Next I have n to the 4th, but I only have one of those, so there's nothing to combine. Next is n squared. I have a positive 13 and a negative, which cancel. And then I'm left with plus 4 at the end. And that's my final answer. Again, with subtracting, I need to distribute that -1. So the first part of my parentheses stays the same. Second part, I just change all the signs. So double check that you're multiplying correctly and getting the right signs, because that will determine if your final answer is correct. Now I need to look for variables to combine. I'm writing them in descending order. If you're just going from left to right, that's okay too. So my highest power is v to the 5th. There's nothing to combine that with. Next I have v to the 4th, so -5 plus 4 gives me a -1v to the 4th. Then I have 11v cubed and 4v cubed, so adding those gives me 15. And then lastly, -3v squared. Again, subtracting, so I distribute that -1 to my second set of parentheses only. First part stays the same. Now I just need to combine terms. Highest power is 3. Then I have x squared. And then my x's cancel because I have a positive 6x and a negative 6x. So that is my final answer. Double check your work. Feel free to pause the video and rewind at any point too if you have any questions or if there's anything else that you need to see. I am adding here, so the first part and the second part stay the same. I do not need to distribute anything. So I just need to combine terms. I have one term with m to the 5th, one term with m to the 4th, so I just copy both of those down. Then 2m squared plus 12m squared gives me 14m squared, and 9m minus 1m gives me 8m. Again, I'm adding. So the first part and the second part of parentheses stays the same. Now I just need to combine like terms. So highest power is to the 5th. 9 plus 11 gives me 20. Then I have x squared. 10 minus 8 is 2. And then 4 minus 7 is -3. Here I'm multiplying. So I start with that first term and distribute to every single term in that trinomial. Then I take the second term from that binomial, which would be that 2, and distribute that to everything in my trinomial. Again, feel free at any point during the video to pause or rewind if it's going too quick. Once you do that, we're just combining like terms. My highest power is cubed. I don't have anything to combine that with. Then I have p to the 2nd, then p, and then my constant at the end. Okay, so I'm just adding or subtracting those coefficients depending on what sign they have out front. Here I'm multiplying again, so I distribute that -8p. Remembering exponent rules here too. Once I distribute the -8p, I can distribute the -3. Make sure you're distributing a -3 and not just a 3. Then after I finish that, I need to combine like terms. I have p cubed, nothing to combine that with. Then I have p squared, then p, and then my constant, which is 18. And that is my final answer. Distributing again. So I start with that negative a. Once I'm done with that, I distribute my negative 5 and combine like terms. Here are the only like terms I have are in the middle. So that's all I need to combine. The 6a cubed and the negative 40 don't have any like terms to combine those with. I need to distribute my negative 8m to both terms. Once I do that, I can distribute my positive 6. And again, combining like terms, the only like terms are in the center, this negative 24m and positive 12m. So that's all I have to combine. Anytime I have something in parentheses squared, that means I need to multiply it to itself twice. So I rewrite it and then distribute the 4v to both sides, or both parts of my parentheses. Then do the same thing with 2. Then I need to combine like terms. I don't have any other v squareds. I combine those 8 v's in the middle to give me 16v, and then the 4 at the end. And that's my final answer. Again, I have parentheses squared, so I rewrite it so it's multiplied by itself. Then I distribute 5n to both terms. Then I distribute the 5 and combine like terms, which the only ones in this problem are in the center. So that is my final answer. Again, I have it squared, so I rewrite and distribute. Then I distribute the second term. Combine those like terms in the middle. And I'm done. Another option, which is something you guys might want to keep in mind, is to always write it in descending order. So this problem is simplified completely at this point, but to write it in descending order, we just need to make sure I have my b squared first, then b, then the constant at the end. But either way, I would accept. And lastly, again, multiplying, distributing 4 to both terms. Then distribute negative 7x. The only terms I have to combine are in the middle, which cancel. So again, that would be a fine answer, but writing in descending order, I would need that negative 49x squared first. And make sure you're taking the signs. So the 16 in this problem has would be a positive, which is why we're adding. And then 49 is being subtracted, so it is a negative. Okay, so just be careful when you are rearranging the order that your terms are written.